Hey there, comic book friends, I'm Travis, and this is another edition of No Capes, where I talk about the books that don't have to do with superheroes, and Ethan doesn't review them with me. This is going to be probably kind of a long video. I, for whatever reason, have been kind of putting these off. Well, I don't know if I've been putting them off, I just haven't done them. And so my normal 2 or 3 books that I would normally do has turned into kind of a pile of books, and I don't feel like just blowing them off and not doing them because it's been a while since I put one of these out, and I keep saying I'm going to do one and I don't. So at any rate, here we go. I'm going to kind of tear through some of these because some of these I don't have a whole lot to say about them at this point. First, I'm going to talk about, I just picked this up. I didn't realize it was actually an old one, but next month I'm getting the new one. This is Thought Bubbles. And this is from 2011. Red Vitamin Blue. That's probably not the right name. And now that I just thought of it, I didn't look them. Reviewed or talked about the issue from 2012, I think. I'm going to be getting that next couple weeks, I believe. It's kind of an interesting format. This Thought Bubble is it's Leeds Comic Art Festival, and it is a like their version of a Comic-Con. It's the big thing. It's actually going on right now. I think it's this weekend. Is this year's, and what this anthology does is not only does it have some of the creators who are at the year's con, it also has a oh, spit it out, Travis. It has they have like a program to promote new artists. And I'm looking here because I want to remember what it's called. It's called the NSAC. It's the Northern Sequential Art Competition. So they run a competition, and so they put some of the winners in this anthology along with some of the actual professionals, the pros that are there. And so it's kind of interesting. The format is interesting. It's a newspaper format. It's a thicker kind of a newspaper format, so your pages are larger in perspective, so it's more of a newspaper type format. So that's cool. So you get bigger art. It is on newsprint, but it still looks pretty good. And you know what? Some of the winners are pretty cool. Some of them were, I don't know, because they have over 18 winners and under 18 winners, and to some degree, some of it's what you'd expect, and some of it was actually pretty cool. What was interesting is that all of the competitors and winners, all of their stuff was kind of funny or attempts at being funny. It was all humor. So which I thought was interesting. None of it was kind of serious sequential art. Most of it was kind of humor oriented. There's a great H.P. Lovecraft story in here, The Hound, which was pretty cool. H.P. Lovecraft, of course, adapted by Stuart Gordon, and art by Tula Lotte, and I really liked the art. It was kind of interesting. I don't know, it cost, what, $2.99? I don't know if it was worth my half a cup of coffee or not, but it was kind of cool. Didn't know what it was like. The cover is a Becky Cloonan cover there. But yeah, it was entertaining. I don't know that I would tell anybody to rush out and get it, but if you see it somewhere or whatnot, it's kind of interesting. I like seeing what's up and coming. I like supporting things that are supporting new creators, so I'm all for that. So that made it worth picking it up. I'm looking forward to getting the next one, and I'll probably talk a little more about it when it goes out. Next, I'm going to talk about Debris issue number 4. I don't need to talk about this a lot because I think 123 Comic Bro talked about quite a bit of it. The art, where it was probably one of the huge selling points of this comic for the first 3 issues. In this final issue, completely phoned in. It's like quick sketches by the original artist, and then they used the colorist to kind of finish the whole thing off, and it does not look good. It looks very sloppy. But let's get beyond the art. I think that the story how they finished this sucked, personally. I think they crushed a story that it looks like the way they were writing it should have been 3 or 4 more issues, and they smashed it all into this one issue, and I didn't like it. I didn't like the way they ended. I thought it was kind of hokey and really not very good. You know, the trade's coming out here in just a little bit. I wouldn't recommend anybody pick up the trade unless you want to read the first 3/4 of the trade and then make up your own story and art for the last issue, because this just was pretty crappy. I thought was not happy with it whatsoever. Next, I'm going to talk about Dark Horse Ghost, issue 0 and issue 1. Issue 0 collects the stuff that was in the Dark Horse Presents. I picked up the issue 0 because I didn't actually get all the Dark Horse Presents that had all of the parts in it. I quit collecting the Dark Horse Presents before that. So I picked it up to catch up on the part of the story that I didn't. Recommended that you do that if you're suddenly going to jump onto Ghost. Go find the issue 0, because I bought just issue 1 first and read it and then went, I probably didn't catch enough of that issue 0, so I wanted the issue 0. You can survive without it, but I think it makes a story a better story if you picked up the issue 0. Basically, the premise of the story is you got these 2 guys here. The guy with the spikier hair, which you're not seeing his face there, but I can't remember his name right offhand. He runs a kind of a TV show exploring the supernatural. He buys what he thinks is going to be a machine that's going to expose all of the ghosts and supernatural things of the world. And this is his tech person who sets the thing up. And lo and behold, after some fiascos, it actually works. And it summons or brings this person into existence. Our ghost. Who we find out in the 0 issues doesn't like to be touched. You touch her, she's kind of coming into her own. She's a really interesting character in this one. In this story, she really becomes an interesting character. More of her thoughts and feelings and what's happened to her, where she's at, what she thinks of these 2 idiots. Well, they're not idiots, but she kind of thinks of them that way to some degree. And what her desires are and what she's going to do is really, really interesting. It's a very, very interesting story. I'm curious to see where it goes to. Phil Noto's art, I think, is gorgeous in some places and not so much in other places. In this issue, I liked it. I thought it was fairly strong. I sometimes question how much emotion he actually brings forth in the characters they draws. I mean, I think they're really pretty, but sequentially, I'm not always 100% sure on it, but not bad. Art was a little weaker in this one. Same guy, but it was a little weaker in this one. Definitely much richer in the actual rest of the series. This character, she's trying to figure out what's happened, why she's where she's at. The people that this guy bought the device from that's doing this, obviously has something to do with dimensional shifts and whatnot. They want the device back, and they're willing to kill people to get it back. So they're on the run from that, and they're trying to figure out what all is about her. The people who developed the machine basically bring forth the devil or something like that, or a suave devil. When I say the devil, I'm not talking demons. I'm talking a guy that's got little pointy horns and stuff. So it's going to be interesting because that person's not happy this machine has been taken away, and that she has used another version of the machine to summon him and kind of potentially expose some stuff that's going on. So there's more to it than just being a ghost story, and I'm really kind of enjoying it. I'm looking forward to it, where it goes. An interesting and fun read. Revival. Still really digging this book. Issue 4. We get some more complications with the revivalist, and are they dangerous or are they not dangerous? Still becomes a question. Like on this cover here with this reporter, wanting to know if they're dangerous or not. She kind of puts her foot into a disaster. Her lover is dead. and I think she's going to get exposed, and that's going to be an interesting plot line. We find out that our mechanic slash self-proclaimed occultist and person in issue 2 who banished the demons from a girl. We find out he's a killer, and he's going to take out the reporter because he doesn't want stuff exposed. He's got a good thing going or something like that, and that's kind of interesting. This, like I said, to me, this just feels very Twin Peaks. Very Twin Peaks, which, you know, this is called a rural noir. And you know what? Maybe Twin Peaks was a rural noir of sorts also. Of course, I keep referring to this TV show that probably, you know, anybody who's, you know, probably in their mid-30s or younger probably doesn't even know what the heck I'm talking about. It's just kind of a really strange and very quirky story. Still really enjoying this. I still think it's a pickup. If you're not picking up singles, please pick it up in the trades. Let's keep this book around. I think it's a very fun and very interesting story that's being told. It's not atypical. The things you'd expect out of zombies and all that kind of stuff is not what this is about. I think it's pretty interesting. I think that as we dwell further into some of the relationships and, you know, what does it mean to have your loved ones come back to life, are still going to be some interesting questions, and I think there's going to be interesting answers. We're slowly getting some answers, but exposing more questions, which to me just makes it all the more interesting of a book. Okay, I'm going to quickly talk about multiple Warheads. I really enjoyed this book. It's a hefty book. It's 40 some odd pages for the price you're paying for it, of $3.99. I think it's worth that. It's really crazy art and ideas in it. There's just some fabulous stuff in here. Like there's a scene where the main characters are traveling down the road, and they stop at basically like the equivalent of a convenience store, and our main character is, you know, it feels like I've talked about this book. Maybe I've talked about this book before. If I have, I apologize. You can listen to me talk about it again. I've talked about it with enough people. I'm not sure what if I've talked about it or not. Anyway, one of the main, you know, it's got the main characters, and they're at a gas station, and she's getting some water. And she pulls out this cup, and it's an ion mug. She's gonna run the water through an ion mug and see what color it comes up. And it's got this color chart here, which you probably can't really read, so I'm gonna read it to you. And it says red is for radiation, blue is for haunted. This is water, by the way. White is for living water, black is for black magic, green is for drinkable, and gold is for forced immortality. And she pours the water in there, and she's looking at it, and she's like, come on, give me green. Sputs, she says, as she throws it out, and it's got a marker for gray. And gray is O2H, organs to hell. A war poison that eats you from the inside out. Of course, she throws it out because, of course, she can't really use it. But her boyfriend is a werewolf. The reason he's a werewolf is because she used to be a black market organ runner, and she got her boyfriend a wolf penis as a present. Grafted it on him. I have no idea where. And since then, he's been having dreams of being he has the dreams that the wolf had. So he's considered a werewolf, and he also has a tail. He ends up with a tail. Besides these characters kind of not really on the run, just kind of traveling and enjoying themselves, we also have an organ harvester who is out hunting for a guy and his organs and whatnot, and it's just awesome. It's so crazy. It's crazy. The art is simple but insanely detailed at the same time. You know, I could go back to for instance, the convenience store scene where he stands at the convenience store. The art is very simple, but there is a ton of things, little detailed stuff in the convenience store. The writer-artist here is just having a fabulous time, I think. He's just kind of going to town. This would be like if you had some big story in your head and you put it out there. Whatever came to mind, whatever you dreamed up, you just went with it, and that's kind of what it is. There is a plot. I'm not saying that there isn't a plot, but it also feels like lots of times he's just going with whatever feels right. It's like, okay, I know on this page I want to have them driving down the road and they're smoking cigarettes, and the cigarettes happen to be musical cigarettes that will serenade you as you smoke them. And I'm just going to put whatever strikes my fancy as I'm doing the piece of art. I know I got to get from point A to point B at some point, but I'm just going to go nuts with what's out there and what I can do. And it's awesome. If you like crazy kind of bizarre art that just kind of, you know, is telling a story, but it's very whimsical and you know, and somewhat adult in some of its fashion. It has excitement. It has just crazy stuff. You're just like, you're gonna see what's next because, man, anything could happen, kind of a thing. This is a great book. A book I'd be nervous to just recommend to anybody who's just, I read superhero comics, maybe not your bag, but if you're into indie kind of stuff, you're into strange, just going to take you on a crazy kind of a bizarre journey into who knows what, I would recommend it. It's page count wise, it's worth it. I love the whimsical art. I think it's great. It's only 4 issues. I think it's fabulous. It's just a very whimsical, crazy kind of a story. I don't know if you can find it if you haven't already picked it up, but if you like just kind of bizarre, out there kind of thing, I would highly recommend it. Okay, Saucer Country number 8. I'm talking about this, and I think, heck, the week I'm recording this, I think the newest issue come out. Still really like this. I love the intrigue, the subtlety of it, the just the different pieces of machinery, the political machine that's moving forward. And then we've got this kind of 50s alien abduction feel to it, but that's all kind of a ruse for the real alien abduction that potentially is going on in it. Our doctor, who's continuing to have, I don't know if he's actually hallucinating or these little people are really talking to him. Just all these different levels of stuff that goes on, and it's got kind of a X-Files feel to it to some degree. I'm really digging the comic. The art is outstanding. Ryan Kelly, in my opinion, is a sequential art rock star who doesn't get near the credit that the guy deserves. I think it's awesome. I mean, this cover is fabulous. This guy, you know, the Men in Black kind of a thing, their tie, and the tie's kind of a reaching down alien hand. And then here's our potential future president and her staff. If you aren't getting the singles, pick it up and trade. I think it's just a great Vertigo title. One of the Vertigo titles that's still around. I hope it stays around for a while. Really curious to see as she goes on the road what all this is going to mean. And there's a couple different players in this. There's some conspiracy theorists that are have got a foot in the game and how they're going to mess things up. You've got the political people, what's going to happen with them. You've got our governor who's running for president, who's doubly motivated now. She wants to know what happened to her, and she's dealing with her own kind of post-traumatic stress of having been abducted. And she's trying to be the first female president, the first Hispanic president. On top of that, she wants to use her presidency to deal with these aliens and stuff. You have some people who are on her staff who are somewhat doubtful of whether that's real, but they're going to go with it. And her ex-husband, who is really having a hard time dealing with the stress of his alien abductions. I'm not sure if he's hallucinating or if he is continuing to be visited by people. Just lots of really cool stuff going on, and I definitely recommend the book. Okay, next I'm going to talk about BPRD 1948. This is one of 5 miniseries. This is set back in 1948. So you've got the old original cast of Hellboy. You've got the professor. Hellboy is only chronologically 4 years old at this point. Of course, he's a running around little kid that steals cigarettes and stuff like that. We have the bomb here that has gone off, and with this bomb, they're using nuclear explosion. The scientists that are in this are using nuclear explosions to propel a capsule into outer space for them to do space exploration in 1948. They think they've got it mastered. They've figured out a way to create a plate between the capsule and the nuclear explosion so people don't get destroyed by radiation. But in the process of this explosion going off, they think they've seen something. Some of the scientists have disappeared. There's this flying Chthonian type monster that is there, so they brought in the BPRD to investigate that. And it's really cool. It's really interesting. I like this reality. So going back and looking at a slice of the past of it, I found very interesting. I don't know that you would need to have read any of the BPRD or any of this stuff to really know what's going on. Having some knowledge of Hellboy might be helpful, because his appearance in there, if you don't have some clue as to who he is, would be confusing if you're completely a new reader with no understanding of that whatsoever. But still, an enjoyable miniseries. The artwork by Max Fururami is quite good in here, and of course, excellent colors by Dave Stewart. An enjoyable miniseries. If you're reading the BPRD things, this wouldn't be something I'd miss. I guess there's also a 1946 and a 1947. I have not read those. This is the first of these I've read. Each of those are contained miniseries, have some of the same characters in it, but contain stories set during those eras. So curious to see where this goes with this little girl that's kind of haunting the professor and what all that means. And how is the nuclear explosions they're attracting monsters, or ripping something open that they can get through in, or whatnot, and how they're going to deal with it. Because this is before they have their big guns, to the best of my knowledge. You know, this is before Hellboy is an adult, so you don't have him to fight the monsters. How and what are they going to fight the monsters? And it's kind of cool to see the professor, who is dead, since my reading the Hellboy universe, how he operates and stuff. So that's kind of cool too. And finally, I'm going to talk about Hellblazer, and this is issue number 296. We are almost through the Curse of the Constantine bloodline. Of course, I'm really digging the story. This was a very fun issue. We find out that Constantine captures his nephew. We find out that his nephew really maybe isn't a psycho killer, that his nephew also has a brother, and it's the brother that's nuts, and it looks like the brother is kind of, has done his own investigating on our young Finn, the nephew of John, and he is kind of embodying John Constantine. It's like he is trying to be John Constantine in his own twisted, screwed up, psychopathic killer kind of a way. And in this issue, this brother finds out that the nephew, John's nephew, is being helped by John Constantine. It's like the further insult to injury to this brother who's embodying Constantine. Not only did his mother, his birth mother, seemingly like the adopted son better, because the adopted son was smart and good looking, blah, 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 all that stuff. Now, on top of it, he feels like he has stolen John Constantine too, that his kind of at a far admiration, love affair with Constantine. And so that insult has created a situation where he is going to go hog wild and totally crazy because everything's been taken from him now. Excellent story. It's getting really interesting. There's this fairy thing in here that, there's the telephone. Anyway, there's a fairy thing in here. It looks like it's pulled Constantine's nephew into this other realm. We haven't really seen the fairy thing for a while. I almost felt like it was a forgotten thing. Now it's back and it's huge. The other thing that's really interesting about this is John has been so convinced that his bloodline has a curse, that his bloodline is cursed, that to find out that his nephew really has been extremely successful, he's rich, he donates tons of money, he's just a really, really great, good guy, that maybe there really isn't a curse. That the curse has basically all just been bullshit that John has made up to try and explain away his life and the bad choices that he's made and the bad stuff that's happened to him. So it's really interesting, an interesting questioning. I'm curious, because this title's being canceled in 4 issues, if if the writer, if Pete Milligan, knew that this was getting canceled at this point, to now at the end of his existence, to suddenly this thing that we've pretty much for probably a couple hundred issues have kind of accepted as there's this Constantine curse in the family, to now we're putting that in question is really interesting. And it'd be really interesting even if we weren't canceling this. You once again, when you think 300 issues in or 296 issues in, we can't be having a new conversation about John Constantine's existence and what does it mean for him and questioning why he is and what things happened to him. I think it's just awesome. It's a good testament for this writer who's been writing it and has written it in the past, how excellent it is. Really enjoying it. We've only got a few issues left. I'll be curious to see. I think they tie this thing up next issue, and then there's like a 2-issue arc, and then the end of the whole thing, which of course still makes me very sad. But I'm going to enjoy the hell out of these comics while they're here. Yeah. Once it's all done, I'm sure I'll go through and show all the covers. I'll do a video that has to do with just Hellblazer. Anyway, that's it. Thanks for watching. And hey, you people out there who are watching this who are mostly superhero readers, branch out. Try something different. Comic books are an awesome medium. Sequential art is an incredible storytelling device. And there are lots and lots of other stories out there that you can read that you might really, really enjoy that don't have to do superheroes. Don't get me wrong, I love superheroes. I love that genre. I have for a very, very long time, and I don't see myself ever stop. But the beauty of comic books is you can tell lots of other incredible stories out there in this medium. They can't be told any other way. They try, but they can't do it. So, branch out. Check out something different. Read something new. And get back to me. What are you reading? What are you reading that I'm not reading? That has the no capes in it. Okay? Have a good one, everybody.